This is Molly McIntyre, and I am interviewing Cheryl from Cherished Doll Friends. She has received some questions from viewers, and I have offered to interview her, and we can get some answers to all of the viewers' questions. Before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you started your YouTube channel? Thank you, Molly, and thank you to all of you for joining me today for this Q&A video. I've been wanting to do this for a while and I've been a bit shy about doing it, but thank you to everyone who submitted questions. So just a little bit about myself, I'll keep it brief. I grew up in Vancouver, BC in Canada, and in my 20s I worked at the Pan Pacific Hotel as a food and beverage server. I was in the hotel industry for 10 years. And I enjoyed it very much. I made a lot of friends. Then I went back to college and became a dental receptionist, and I still have that career today. I work in a great dental office and I have really good friends there, and it's a great office to work in. So those are my main jobs that I've had in my life. I've done a lot of hobbies and other things in between, but I don't want to get into too much detail here or we'll be here forever. So I did get married in 1991 and I had my son in 1993, and he's grown up now and he lives actually really close by to me in the same co-op that I live in a different unit, and he's there with his fiance who I just adore, and I'm just very happy to have them both close by. And so yeah, that's my life in a nutshell, I guess. The reason I started my YouTube channel was, I think it started when my dad passed away a couple of years ago. I felt like he didn't really want to leave a legacy for whatever reason. I loved my dad. He was a really cool guy. My grandmother left books that she had written and videos that she had done of herself reading her books. And I really enjoy looking back at all of them and watching her, and I can hear her laugh and see her voice and hear her talking. And it's just very meaningful for me to have that. And I thought that it would be nice to leave that for my family too. The other reason, of course, is because I love doll collecting and I wanted to connect with the doll community and have this YouTube channel to share my love of collecting with all of you. So that is what I am doing, and I'm enjoying it so very much. So currently I live alone with my cat Penny. Obviously the marriage between my son's dad and I didn't work out, so I was a single mom, but we did fine, and he's a thriving human being in the world now, so I think we did good. He still likes to hang out with me, so I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, now on to the questions, and am I ready for this, Molly? The first questions are from Christy at AG Takes Over. Number 1, was there a period of your life where you didn't collect dolls? If so, what made you put them away, and when did they recapture your interest? Okay, that's a good question. Yes, there have been a couple of times where I have put the dolls away and brought them out at a later time. I would say initially I was always a doll lover from childhood, and so I played with them right up until probably 10, 11, 12. Not 12, probably up to 11, 10 maybe actually. And then they were put away in the storage. My mom was really busy at cleaning up and sorting, and so unfortunately she did get rid of a lot of my dolls and Barbies from childhood, which was kind of sad, but I think that happens to a lot of us. So I went through, my school years and high school and all of that, and my early adult years without the dolls, and just doing other things, finding jobs and meeting my husband and different things like that. And then when I became single again, a single mom, I was alone with my son, and so we would go to the toy store. I've told this a few times in videos before, where we would go to the toy store together, and as a way of connecting with my son, I would buy a toy too, and then we could both come home and play with something new together. And of course for me, I would go down the Barbie aisle, and that was what interested me, and he would be more into the Bionicles and the Lego and that kind of thing. So we would come home and we'd each have a box opening and something exciting to look at and play with and be happy about together. So that's kind of where the Barbie collecting kicked in again. And I was really into Barbies back then, and I had my house all full of Barbies all over the place, to the point where one of my friends came over one time and said, you know, if you ever want to meet a new man in your life, I think you should get rid of these Barbies, or at least hide them away. So I felt a little bit, you know, of, I guess, shame and disappointment that my hobby wasn't understood, and sadness that I couldn't be myself and still be attractive to another person. But I did that. I did sell a lot of the Barbies, and I put a lot of them away, and I did some dating, but here I am. Anyway, I'm not going to get into my love life here, but so the dolls came out again quite a long time later. I always had a couple around and a few in the closet. I never totally got rid of the dolls. But the next time I got into them was during COVID, and that was in 2020. And of course, we all were in lockdown, and I started watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was off of work, and I found the doll channels and got all excited again about them and started my doll collecting journey again for the second time as an adult. So if you want to watch all my videos leading up to this, you'll see what's happened since then. But that's all led up to this moment here, and I'm just so happy that I got into the dolls again, and I just really love this hobby. So thank you for that question. Sorry for that long answer. Do you do things in public with your dolls? I have taken my dolls out in public, well, once, and it was earlier in the summer, in the spring actually, and I took my Samantha doll to a local park that has a small lake around it and a lot of beautiful gardens, and I carried her in my arms, and there's a little path or a walkway that goes all the way around the lake, and I had her under my arm, and I just proudly walked along. I just decided to be brave, and I had a few looks and a few smiles, and I plunked my doll down in different little areas to take pictures of her, on a stump and in front of a fountain and by the duck pond, and I was taking pictures. And at one point there was a group of high school students. I guess they were on their lunch break, and there was a group of them walking along, and I did notice this one teenage girl kind of crane her neck and look at what I had, and she kind of pointed, and I don't know what that was about, whether she thought, who's that weird lady holding the doll, or, oh, I know who that doll is, or I had that doll when I was a kid. I don't know what she was thinking, but it was kind of cute, and I thought it was funny that she was, out of that whole group of kids, she was the only one who caught the doll out of the corner of her eye and really turned around to take a look. So that's the one time I've taken dolls out in public. I would like to do it again. Joe from AGTV for Life has inspired me about that, and also Katie, oh, I can't remember her name, Katie and her dolls, mentioned lately about taking dolls out into public. So I'm gonna do it again. The weather is getting colder now, so we'll have to see what October brings. It would be fun to do a fall photo shoot with my dolls and maybe a little video, so that might be coming in the future. So yes, I have done it once, and I plan to do it again in the future. In fact, I'd like to do a little meetup with some local collectors, probably in the spring now. I've left it a bit late to do this year, so I hope you'll be patient as I try and arrange something for the warmer weather. Yeah, thank you for that question. What is it that you enjoy about dolls? What do I enjoy about dolls? Well, everything. I just think they're beautiful. I'm looking at my dolls over there. I think they're beautiful to look at. They're like works of art. They're a sculpture. I'm very artistic, and I'm really interested in art and sculpture. And I went to Europe actually about 3 years ago. No, it was 2017. That's longer than 3 years. But I really enjoyed all the art galleries and all the statues and all of the history. And I feel like dolls are a form of sculpture and a form of artistic expression. So I look at them as an art form. I also look at them as something to hold and hug, and like a comfort item. They bring back really nice childhood memories for me. I like the fashion aspect of them, the beauty, the different hairstyles, the fashion that you can do in changing their clothes. I love everything about dolls. I could go on and on about them, so there isn't just one thing that attracted me to them. They're just part of who I am, something that I've loved ever since I was a little kid, and I still do to this day. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, the next questions are from Zombie Cupcake 157. What does your family, and in particular your son, think of your doll collecting in the past few years? Well, I think my family have been quite supportive. Over the years, they've known me to collect dolls, especially back in the Barbie years. And my parents, when I was a kid, they knew that I loved dolls. So I don't think it's a really big surprise. And even to my son, who, as I said, we used to go shopping together and I would buy dolls. He saw that I had a Barbie collection. So it's nothing really new to him either. I think that since COVID happened, everyone did see an acceleration of my hobby. It happened more when I moved into this place where I am now. Prior to that, I was living in a small apartment with my son and his fiance, and we were in a very tight area. I just had my own bedroom and it was just a small place for all three of us. We were kind of hunkered down for COVID. But when they moved and found their own place and I moved here, all of a sudden I had all this space to myself and a home that I could call my own, and I filled it up with dolls. So it cheered me up. It made me feel less lonely. So I think that my family is fairly supportive of it. My son is a collector too. And so he gets the collecting thing. He gets that people are interested, can be hyper-focused on one thing and want to collect it and have multiples of it. So yeah, I think overall my family is supportive and gets it to a point. I would say my friends are maybe less understanding and supportive, but they humor me. I guess that's the best I can expect. So I'm hoping to meet more doll friends though, and like in person locally. I do have my one doll friend, Adam, and so we support each other and talk all the time together about our doll collection. So that's very helpful to have someone who understands the hobby in my world. The next question from Zombie Cupcake 157 is, were you born in the US? I feel like I hear a subtle British accent. No, I was not born in the US. I was born in Canada. That's kind of cute that someone detected a bit of a British accent. I don't know where that would come from. I think that Canadians have a tendency to maybe sound slightly more British than maybe in the US, but other than that, I don't have any family members that I can think of that had a British accent, although I am English, Scottish background. My grandparents came from England and Scotland, but none of them had a British accent when they were here or that I remember. So it could be just residual from the family link. But other than that, no, I think I just probably have a Canadian accent more than anything. But I mean, you would know better than I would, you viewers out there who hear everybody speaking. So I'll take that as a compliment. I think British accent sounds pretty cool. So thank you. The next question, do you ever bring dolls with you in public? I think we have answered this in a previous question, so we'll move on to the next. What is at the top of your historical doll wish list? Ooh, the top of my wish list for historical dolls. Well, I guess it would have to be the Hoffman twins because those are the only two that I don't have. I do have the full set of historical dolls, but they're at different degrees of, I guess, quality. I have a couple of brand new and most of them are thrifted, so they're in different levels of condition, I guess. So probably getting higher levels of condition or maybe older versions. I do have two Kirstens that are Pleasant Company. I wouldn't mind getting an older Molly, a Pleasant Company Molly, and yeah, just any of the older versions from the very beginning. The first three in particular, the older the better. I Dream of Johnny has an excellent collection of all of the old vintage American Girl historical dolls, which I think is a wonderful collection, and I love his channel. So yeah, if I could get any more of those really good old dolls, that would be great. But the Hoffman twins, at some point I'm going to add, but because they are newer to the lineup and less far back in time in history, I don't quite consider them historical enough, so I don't feel any urgency to add them to my collection. I do think they're very cute, especially Isabel, so hopefully I'll get them eventually one day. Yeah. Okay, we have another viewer, CatDogMum155 asks, are there any dolls you regret buying? I guess there are a couple of dolls I regret buying. I'll have to think about that. I guess one that comes to mind is maybe Corinne. And I say that because I added her to my collection because she was the Girl of the Year that year, and I thought she was such a pretty doll. But I was trying to collect the historical line. That was going to be my collection, and that was going to be my way of limiting my numbers so that I couldn't go too crazy out of control. So I thought if I just collect all the historical girls, there's a finite number of them, and I'll have to stop when I have them all. So that was my thinking with that. And then when I got Corinne, I kind of broke my rule and decided I'm going to enjoy her for a while, but I don't think she's going to be permanently in my collection. And so she is for sale, and she hasn't sold yet, so I'm enjoying her as long as I can. But I probably didn't need to add her. I'm happy that I did, but I regret it in the sense that I am going to sell her now, so she wasn't really an appropriate addition to my collection. But I did enjoy having her at the time. And I'm rambling. I guess the only one that I really regret, I do resell dolls when I find them at the thrift store. I like to fix them up and then sell them. So I do that sometimes, and I found this Cricket doll, which is from the 80s. They're kind of a large, boxy kind of doll that has like a little tape deck in her stomach, and she talks. And she's quite big and heavy, and Adam actually collects them, but he says he has enough. So when I bought her, I initially thought that he might want her, but he didn't. So I'm trying to sell her now, and she's just kind of sitting in my basement, taking up space, and I'm having trouble selling her actually. So I probably regret that one a little bit. But other than that, the other dolls, when I do buy dolls that I regret having, I just resell them. So I think that a lot of people collect different types of dolls, so there's usually a market for the dolls that I don't necessarily like or collect. So it's just fun having them and looking at them in my collection and then passing them along to someone else who might love them. Yeah. Further to that question, are there any dolls you regret giving away or selling? Yes, I do have some dolls that I regret giving away and selling. The first ones are the ones I regret giving away were my childhood Holly Hobbie and Raggedy Ann dolls. I had them for years and years. I vowed always to keep them forever. They were just my comfort dolls as a child. They were cuddly and soft. But as an adult, they had been kept in a box in storage, and they got a little musty and dusty, and they weren't in the greatest condition anymore. And so when I moved from my apartment to here, I was trying to downsize and just keep the things that I really wanted to bring here. And I did decide to donate them. And I regretted that so bad almost right after. Like, it was too late. Once they were gone, they were gone. But I really regretted that because then I really became interested in doll collecting hardcore. And I know that those little vintage Holly Hobbie and Raggedy Ann dolls are collectible. And I had them all that time, and they were my originally owned ones. So that was heartbreaking, and I can't really change that now. The other regret I have is I have mixed regrets about this one. Some of you may know of Build Lily. She was the predecessor to Barbie. She was created in Germany, and I have a whole video on that if you want to learn more about Build Lily. I was just starting to learn about the different vintage dolls and vintage Barbies this time around in my collecting, and I had recently heard on Rachel Hoffman's channel about Build Lilies. She was talking about her mom's Build Lilies. And so she showed them. And so I had a picture in my mind of what they looked like. And I was doing this online auction, and there was a Barbie and a Ken for sale. And there was a picture of this Barbie and Ken side by side. And the Ken didn't even look like Ken. In fact, it turned out to be Alan. But the Barbie, I was looking at it and looking at it going, that's a really old Barbie. Or is it a Build Lily? I think that might be a Build Lily. So I bid on it, and it was like $15, $30 for the pair. And I won the bid. Obviously, nobody knew what they were. And it was just a random auction that I bid on and won. And I drove out to pick them up. And I was so excited because I knew I wouldn't be sure until I picked this doll up if it was actually Build Lily or not. I've never seen one in person. But sure enough, as soon as I picked her up, I knew just the feel of her was different. The sound when you move her arms, the composition type body, the way the head was, the way the hair was, I knew it was a Build Lily, even though I'd never seen one. So I was super excited because of course they sell for thousands on eBay. They're worth a lot of money. They're highly collectible. So I did have her for quite a while, but because she was so valuable for collectors, I was almost afraid to keep her. I wasn't displaying her because I was afraid she was going to get dusty or I would break her or wreck her. I didn't want to fix up her hair because I was afraid of ruining her. And I just felt like I wasn't really appreciating her the way she should be appreciated by a collector who collects those dolls. So I did put her up for sale, and someone reached out to me from Toronto. This is a long story and I have a whole video on it. So long story short, I sold her to a collector in Switzerland. And she jumped from Vancouver to Toronto to Switzerland with a couple of helpers. And he is a Build Lily collector. He has a museum in Switzerland, and he was publishing a picture book of his collection of Build Lilies, and he wanted this doll to be in the book. And so my Build Lily was featured in the book. I did purchase the book from him, and I have the book. And so I have my Build Lily in a picture in a book, and she's happy in her new home in Switzerland with all her other Build Lily friends. I do regret it in some ways. Adam, my friend, my doll collecting friend, just kicks me for selling her because I don't think he could have afforded to buy her for how much I wanted to sell her for, but he would have loved to have at least seen her in my collection. And so that was a bit of a regret, but in a way the story is so interesting, and I made a great video about it, that it's a mixed feeling of regret and kind of, yeah, that's what should have happened with her. So that is my story of the Build Lily and the dolls that I wished I hadn't given away or sold. The next question is, what are a few of your favorite outfits in your collection? So favorite outfits in my collection, I guess I'll just do American Girl category for this answer, because most of you I think out there watching this are American Girl doll collectors. I think the ones that pop into my mind are, I really love Elizabeth's riding habit, the pink one. I actually have it on Felicity right now. I love that. I love all the historical outfits, especially the older ones like Elizabeth and Felicity's collections. I also love Mary Ellen's poodle skirt outfit, which I do have. I have it on her just back here. And I love, out of the new outfits, I love the Cinderella dress, the little pink one with the little swoopy things on the bottom, and it came with the mice, and it's like the one from the movie that she made for herself with the help of the birds and the mice, and that one I really love. And also Tiana's work outfit, I really love that one. And another favorite is Cecile's Christmas dress. So those are out of the outfits that I have in my collection. I don't have a very large collection of fashions for my American Girl dolls. I'm kind of more of a doll collector than a clothing collector, but I would like to add to my fashions and get some more things, because every time you change a doll, it feels like a new doll again, which is really cool. So yeah, I am planning on getting more outfits, but those are a few of my favorites right now. Ooh, I am interested in the answer of this question. How many dolls do you have? So how many dolls do I have in my collection? So I actually wrote it down. Let me just see here. So 30 American Girl dolls and 52 miscellaneous. So that's 82 altogether. We're getting up there, and I'm sure there's going to be more additions, but I'm trying to keep it down to a reasonable number. Aren't we all? Famous last words of a doll collector. CC Whip asks, where do you resell your dolls? So as I mentioned before, I do sometimes sell dolls on Facebook Marketplace, and usually those are dolls that either I don't want in my collection anymore, or ones that I've thrifted and fixed up myself, and then I want to resell them. I used to sell a few on eBay, but I found eBay just difficult to deal with, and I didn't like the shipping aspect. I prefer to sell locally and people just pick them up. It's much easier. I work full time. I don't really have a lot of time to do all the shipping and packing and do a full-time reselling business. I tried it for a while, but it wasn't really for me. And then the other way is that I actually have sold quite a few of my dolls to my friend Adam, and I've bought some from him also. So that's my favorite way to sell dolls, to a friend. Dis Blaine had a question. How much of Canada have you visited? So I prepared for this answer because I needed to write some things down. Dis Blaine had asked, how many places in Canada have I visited? So I don't know how much detail I should go into. I live in British Columbia, and so I've seen a lot of British Columbia, Prince George, Cranbrook, Kamloops, Penticton, Kelowna. Caslow is where my sister lives. Summerland, I have some friends who live there. Of course, Vancouver Island, my stepmom lives there. So I've been to Victoria and Nanaimo. And I've been to some of the smaller Gulf Islands, Salt Spring Island. My auntie lives on Bowen Island. And of course, Greater Vancouver, that's where I grew up. And as far as the rest of Canada, the only time I've been out of province is I went to Toronto and Guelph, Ontario, and that was back in 1986. I have a good friend that lives or came from Guelph, Ontario, and we went back to visit her family, and we stopped in Toronto as well. So I think that hits most of the places that I've been to in Canada. I would love to go across Canada and go to PEI and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. I do have some family, distant family there that I would like to visit with my stepmom, so I'm hoping that'll be a trip that we do one day. I love Canada, and I would like to see more of it. So maybe I'll come and visit you sometime, Blaine. The next question is, what are the top 3 dolls on your wish list? Hi, it's editing Cheryl here, and you can see my screen in the background. I'm just editing this video, and I realized there were a couple of questions I forgot to film. So this is one. Molly just asked what were my top 3 dolls on my wish list. And one would be Selah from Maple Leah. That's the Canadian girl dolls. And she's the Inuit character, and I just think she's very beautiful, and she's got a great collection of outfits, and yeah, I'd really like to have her, as well as more of the Maple Leaf girl collection. And I'd also love, and these 2 girls have not been made, but if AG ever made a Snow White or an Alice in Wonderland, I'd be all over that. I do love the Disney characters, and I just think they would make really cute AG dolls. Do you have any Holy Grail items? I apologize for missing recording this. There was one other question that Christy from AG Takes Over had asked as well, and it was, do I have a grail item in my collection? And I guess the grail item would have been the Build Lily that I did sell. So that's from a previous answer. And for future, I'm not sure what that would be yet. I don't think I have her yet, but I know there are a lot of dolls that I'm very excited about adding to my collection in the future. So I hope that answers that, Molly. Sorry for answering on a later date, and on with the video. And the last question is from Katie and her dolls, who asks, have you ever been to a doll show? So I've never been to a doll show. I guess partly because I'm in Canada, and it just seems like doll shows and dolls in general aren't as popular here as they are in the States. You don't go into antique shops and vintage stores and find a lot of dolls. You really have to pick around and get lucky. And as far as doll shows go, they're far and few between. I'm lying. There is one time years and years ago when my son was young and I was into Barbie collecting. There was a very small local doll show that I actually purchased a booth and set up some of my Barbies and tried to sell. So there you go. I guess I was at a doll show. It wasn't very successful. I think I sold 3 Barbies and I met a few other collectors, but they weren't really doll booths. The rest of the show was like toys. I think I was the only one that had dolls. So technically, I'm not sure if that really counts as a doll show, but I would like to in my future attend some doll shows. I would like to do some traveling down in the US and attend some doll shows. So I'm looking forward to doing that someday. And if I do that, I will take you with me and make a video and we can go together. Thank you so much, everybody, for bearing with me and listening to all my answers to your questions. I hope that that satisfied some of your curiosity about me, if there is any at all. And I enjoyed sharing a little bit more about myself and my doll collection. And I hope that you'll come back and see my videos and more fun videos about actual dolls and collecting. And here, let's get some dolls in the picture here. I've got Ruthie standing by, and this is my old Caroline that I fixed up. She needs a little bit more fixing up, but yeah, I like having the dolls all around me, and they're all around the room. I've got a shelf of them over there. And Molly, let's get Molly. So I just want to thank Molly today for being such a good interviewer. I really appreciate it so much that she could interview me and ask me all these questions, since I didn't have anybody close by that we could do that with. So I hope that worked out well. And thank you, Molly. Let's say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you all soon. Well, it was so nice interviewing you today, Cheryl. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm going to go back to the doll room and see the other girls. Bye.